Welcome to the show. You're watching the Fox Business Network. Let's bring back to the show House Judiciary Congressman Tom McClintock. It's great to have you on. First time, I'd like you to listen to Justice Amy Coney Barrett speaking last night. Let's take a listen to this.
Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, President Trump, for selecting me to serve as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. It's a privilege to be asked to serve my country in this office, and I stand here tonight truly honored and humbled. Thanks also to the Senate for giving its consent to my appointment. I am grateful for the confidence you have expressed in me, and I pledge to you and to the American people that I will discharge my duties to the very best of my ability.
Okay, Congressman, that was an historic moment. What exactly are the Democrats now threatening to do in retaliation? What exactly are the consequences Republicans now face? We keep hearing that from Senators Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, and Richard Blumenthal. What's going on? What are you hearing?
Actually, we've been hearing that threaten this for the last several years, of packing the Supreme Court with additional seats of their choosing. That would totally destroy the mechanism that provides stability to our process of government. The credibility of the Supreme Court stems from the fact that its members are lifetime appointments, but they span many, many different administrations. However the political winds may shift from election to election, there is a stability to the Supreme Court. If each party begins adding seats every time they take power, the court loses that credibility, and we lose the stability that the court provides.
All right, we've got Senator John Thune saying this is what Republicans were elected to do: restore the Supreme Court to its constitutional purpose, not its legislative purpose. But now we've got even House Speaker Nancy Pelosi talking about packing the court, along with Sherrod Brown and Senator Ed Markey. And then we have this, sir. Senator Chris Coons is basically saying that that they should re-examine hundreds of conservative judges now seated, that there should be a wide open conversation on the rebalancing of all the courts, that they shouldn't, these hundreds of conservative judges should not be allowed to sit peaceably without re-examining the process, how they got there. How's that going to happen?
Well, that's a radically different view from that of the American founders. The American founders, as was just reflected in Justice Barrett's remarks, viewed the court as a constitutional referee, not as a policy-making branch. That's the legislature, answerable directly to the people. The court has a very, very different function. What the left is trying to do is turn the court into a policy-making branch of government. That's why you see this tremendous conflict between the leftists and traditional liberals and conservatives who defend the integrity of the court. And by the way, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was one of those liberals who said it would be a very bad idea to start packing the court with additional seats because it would turn it into a political instrument rather than the neutral referee that it was designed to be. You know, we're used to seeing justice depicted blindfolded because justice is supposed to be impartial. There's one depiction of justice where she's her eyes are wide open. And that is when she is looking to the Constitution. The left would change that completely. They'd make the justice blind to the Constitution and partial to a policy outcome that the liberals like, or the left likes.
Yeah, and also Joe Biden at one point said that it would be massive power-mongering and corruption to try to pack the court. They're angry. They're so angry that Justice Barrett was seated on a strict party line vote. We haven't seen that in 150 years since Reconstruction. Let's listen to Senator Chuck Schumer saying this is a dark day for America. Watch this.
My deepest, greatest, and most abiding sadness tonight is for the American people and what this nomination will mean for their lives, their freedoms, their fundamental rights. Monday, October 26th, 2020, it will go down as one of the darkest days in the 231-year history of the United States Senate.
Okay, now we've got this. Watch this action. Democrats now say Justice Barrett is now a swing vote that could decide the 2020 election. And we've got the bellwether county, Luzerne County in Pennsylvania, is now asking Justice Barrett to recuse herself from a controversial case on whether to give it an extension for counting mail-in ballots after Election Day. This is happening now. Your take on this?
Well, justices are not there to produce a desired outcome for either side. They're there to apply the law impartially. Conservative justices tend to do that. That's why conservatives are often disappointed when a conservative justice ends up with a decision that favors a liberal policy. It's because they're not deciding it on the policy, they're deciding it on the law. The left is trying to fundamentally change this concept of the rule of law to the rule of mobs, and that's a very dangerous thing. They are not there to produce a desired policy outcome. They are there to apply the law impartially.
You know, we've got the Supreme Court angering the Democrat Party yesterday. The Supreme Court ruled against Wisconsin Democrats. It's a battleground state. Now it cannot count mail-in ballots received up to 6 days after the November 3rd election. That's a defeat for Democrats. Your final word.
Well, don't forget they issued a different opinion involving different facts in the Pennsylvania case. That's where you are applying the law as it is written, not as you wish it to be. If you wish it to be a law, you need to join the legislature and resign from the Supreme Court.
We've got a bunch of upcoming Supreme Court cases that Justice Barrett will weigh in on. You're looking at a Pennsylvania ballot extension, a case about the president's taxes. You're going to see North Carolina ballot counting extension. You know, Democrats also want to get at the grand jury probe materials in the Mueller probe. You know, there's a lot of cases they're going to be really scrutinizing hard. How do you think this is all going to play out? Final word.
I think because there's now a majority on the court that is dedicated to applying the law as it is written, you're going to have decisions favoring both conservative and liberal policy outcomes, but they will be according to the law under our Constitution. That's as it should be.
Okay. Thank you, Congressman McClintock. We really appreciate it.